Hello and welcome to CGTN's special coverage on the launch of China's Tianzhou-9 cargo spacecraft. I'm Yidong in Beijing and watching the live picture from the Wenchang spacecraft launch site in southern China's Hainan province. And from there, the cargo spaceship will be launched, scheduled for 5:35 a.m. Beijing time. And the spacecraft will carry 6.5 tons of supply materials to the Taigonauts on board the Tiangong space station right now. And the Tianzhou-9 will also be the first cargo spacecraft of the year to visit the China space station. And now for the latest, let's bring in our reporter Chen Yilin at the Wenchang spacecraft launch site in Hainan province. So Yilin, as we just said, the launch time is set at 5:35 a moment later. So what's going on at the site at the moment?
Yes, Tony. So right now, I'm around 3 kilometers away from the launch pad, and you can see the revolving platform is now opening, meaning the liftoff is coming soon. So here is truly be a sleepless night tonight here at the Wenchang Space Launch Site. We are here witnessing staff from all works of the system. They've been working through the night to ensure everything is safe and ready for this early morning liftoff. And actually, there are some challenges. We know the weather is pretty clear today, but the humidity is really high usually in the early morning in this coastal city. But earlier, I've also spoken with the rocket engineer. He told me that the Long March 7 is capable to deal with such kind of condition because it has very robust waterproof condition. And meanwhile, about the highlights of the Tianzhou-9, we know this time it carries a record 6.5 tons of supplies. So among some of the most anticipated items on board are 2 new updated spacewalk suits for astronauts. There will also be exercise equipment and of course, a taste of home, because we've learned that this time there will be, among all the fresh food here, there will be 30 new dishes for the astronauts. Meanwhile, there will also be scientific experiments to be carried out. A total of 23 scientific experiments will be carried out this time. And now we know upon the Tiangong space station, the Shenzhou-20 crew have been watching closely of this whole process. But I do want to mention that today there are also many visitors and even rocket lovers who travel all the way to Wenchang. They are gathering here. They're also staying up for this whole night. Some of them are gathering along the beach side, some even on the rooftop. So I think it fully illustrates that the space is not just a business of engineers and scientists and Taigonauts, but also it captivates all the people from all walks of life. That's pretty much from here. Back to you, Donning.
All right, thank you very much, Chen Yilin, reporting from a Wenchang spacecraft launch site. And we just saw that the towering Long March 7 Y-10 rocket was standing there preparing for launching the Tianzhou-9, and we saw the plume of white smoke. It actually was not smoke, it was the mist that we saw billowing from the rocket. That's boiling liquid oxygen venting off as the cryogenic fuel stays chilled at around 183 centimeters minus, that is. And for more discussions into the details, let's talk to Mr. Yang Yuguang, and he's our spacecraft commentator. Well, Mr. Yang, well, first of all, about the launch time, it usually happens at very early morning like this time. Why?
Well, you may notice that every time the CGTN conduct the live coverage on the launch of either Tianzhou spacecraft or Shenzhou spacecraft, so every time the right moment is different. So the reason is that, you know, that it's not a single mission. The target is our Tiangong space station. To chasing the Tiangong space station, the basic requirement that when the Tianzhou spacecraft come into the orbit, it must be in the same orbital plane of our Tiangong space station. So this is the most critical requirement to the launch. But you know that every day the orbital plane of our Tiangong space station is in a different position. So that is the reason we don't have other choices, but only conduct the launch when the launch site is rotating along with the Earth and coming come across the orbital plane of our Tiangong space station. So this is the most important reason, and this is to save the energy or the propellants of our Tianzhou spacecraft.
Right, and about the Tianzhou-9 cargo ship, Chinese people gave it a kind of very cute nickname called Delivery Boy, but it's much more than just delivering the goods, right?
Exactly. So, you know that for our Tiangong spacecraft, you know, today we've already been very practical, and with the regenerative life support system, we can reduce the need for the oxygen supply, the food supply, and water supply. So we can keep more volume in the cargo spacecraft to scientific research. So that is reason why today we only conduct launch of Tianzhou every 8 months. So it means that this time the Tianzhou-9 not only provide the food and other supplies for our Shenzhou-20 crew, but also for some providing some supply for the Shenzhou-21 crew. So today we have the launch of the Tianzhou-9. It also will bring the, as your colleague already, reporter already mentioned, the scientific research instrument, but also prepare for the future missions. Moreover, you know that the Tianzhou spacecraft is not only a resupply ship, so you know that it also has the solar panels, and it can produce electricity for the, when it docked to the station, it can provide electricity for the whole station. And also the communication devices can be used as an integrated one for the whole station. And also, you know that it has a phase, either uploading and downloading during an independent flying phase. During this phase, it can also conduct some special experiments which cannot be conducted when it connected to the space station.
Right, and it is, Tianzhou-9, it is part of an upgraded series of cargo spaceship, especially when comparing Tianzhou-1 to 5. What are the major differences?
Well, you know that today, including the previous ones, our Tianzhou spacecraft, although it is not the biggest cargo spacecraft in the world, but it has the highest efficiency. As your reporter has already mentioned, this time we brings more than 6.5 metric tons of supplies to the space station. You know that the ratio with cargos, comparing with the total mass, it has the highest ratio among all the cargo spacecrafts in service in the world. So although it is not the big one is the ATV from the European Space Agency, but our Tianzhou spacecraft has the highest efficiency among all these ones. As you mentioned, this time we also have some upgrades. For instance, the volume for the cargos becomes bigger, and also the ratio is even larger than before. Although
it became significantly bigger than the previous Tianzhou spaceships, cargo ships from version 6. Right.
Exactly. You know that in the initial version, including Tianzhou-2 and Tianzhou-3, we have 8 propellant tanks because you know that to maintain the altitude of the Tiangong's orbit, we need many propellants. But with the practice before, it proves that we do not need so much. Right. So the propellant tanks reduced from 8 to 4, and it remains more volume for the pressurized goods for the astronauts. So today, the inner volume, I mean the pressurized zone, becomes bigger than before.
All right, we'll be getting back to you for more discussions, Mr. Yang. Well, the Shenzhou-20 taikonauts, led by its commander Chen Dong, are awaiting the arrival of the Tianzhou-9. Chen and crew members Chen Zhongrui and Wang Jie have been in space for more than 2 months already. And the trio has so far conducted 2 extravehicular activities, and they completed the installation of debris protection devices and inspections of the space station. The second spacewalk was 90 minutes shorter than the first one, indicating significant improvement in their work efficiency. And the crew has also been conducting life science experiments with zebrafish, flatworms, and streptomyces bacteria. Their study of the regeneration of flatworms' body parts will contribute to research on space-related health issues and also aging. And at Wenchang site in Hainan province, we're seeing the rocket is still towering there for launch. And let's talk to Mr. Yang again and about the experiments that they are conducting in the space right now by Chinese taikonauts. Included very interesting items such as the flatworms for human beings' health. How so?
Well, you know that animals are always very important objects to conducting scientific research in outer space, especially in the microgravity environment. You know that the behavior of the animals or even the self of human being, the behavior will be very, very different comparing with ordinary conditions. So studying the worms, studying the zebrafish, and even I believe in the future we can have mouse in our Tianzhou space station to study their behavior in microgravity environment will be a very good comparison with the same or similar experiments on the Earth. So with these scientific products, we can benefit, or common people can benefit from this research, such as the control of the loss of bones, such as the weakening of the muscles, and also we can have some other medicine making and proteins made for improve our daily lives. So these are very, very meaningful and which have very direct returns to our daily life. Moreover, there are also many other research, for instance, such as the study on the self of human beings. I mean, even some of the cancer cells in outer space to study the influence of radiation to these cells. Not only will be useful for our medical care, but also very useful for the expedition teams in the future to go deeper into outer space.
Right, and what about the contents, the cargo that Tianzhou-9 is going to upload there? Anything related to new items of the science research?
Exactly. So this time, according to the formal announcements of China Manned Space Agency, the most important one will 2 additional EVA spacesuits. You know that our Tiangong have 3 EVA spacesuits, the second generation Feitian spacesuit before, with a belt marked in red, in blue, and in yellow. The original design, the lifespan for this spacesuit are 15 times within 3 years. But with the practice in recent years, we proved that the performance of our Feitian spacesuit is very, very excellent. So the lifespan of the newly uploaded 2 ones will expand it to 20 times within 4 years. So this will save a lot of money. You know that the EVA spacesuit is the most expensive clothes for human being, and with the limited lifespan and the limited time of usage. So when it is expanded, it can save more money.
Right, and they must be large, rigid, and weighty. How were they packed inside of the ship?
Quite right. So the volume of the cargo spacecraft is limited, so it must be packed, and it will be assembled in the Tiangong space station for the new EVA, as you already mentioned before.
Right, and rapid rendezvous is now the norm, and Tianzhou-9 is going to have a very precise and rapid rendezvous or docking with Tiangong Station. Can you walk us through on the guidance and navigation and also control sequence of that docking?
Well, exactly. You know, I can still remember during my first cooperation with CGT, actually the CCTV news before, we tested the rendezvous and the docking technology. At that era, from Shenzhou-8 to Shenzhou-10, the interval between the launch and the docking will be 2 days. But today it can minimize to 6 to 2 hours. So it now not only raise more higher requirement to our, as you mentioned, the guidance, navigation, and control, but also, you know, that it will be very, very helpful to conducting scientific research. We've already discussed about microbiology study. You know that for some live animals, if we can shorten the interval between the launch and the docking, it will be very helpful to keep the very good status for these animals.
Right, it will be getting back to you, Mr. Yang, in a moment. Well, this actually marks the 10th launch mission of the Long March 7 rocket, and both the rocket and the Tianzhou spacecraft are equipped with emergency response capabilities designed to be launched on short notice in special situations.
If the space station encounters a relatively urgent need, the backup rocket can complete an emergency launch within 3 months. This model is also similar to the Long March 2F rocket, and it has been further improved for the operational support of China's space station.
In terms of supporting the astronauts' needs, we have a 3-month supply of food stored in space. This includes propellants, which need to be replenished once the space station stock is exhausted. The supply of materials must be continuous, stable, and uninterrupted. Therefore, the reason behind our emergency backup spacecraft is to ensure the continuous and smooth operation of the space station.
Now let's get back to Mr. Yang and about the rocket that carries Tianzhou-9. Can you tell us about that, the Long March 7 rocket?
Well, Long March 7 rocket is a mid-sized launch vehicle in our new generation Long March launch vehicles. It uses kerosene and liquid oxygen as its propellant. It's environmental friendly, not toxic, not corrosive. So it is very powerful. You know that I can still remember that in 2016, CGTN conducted the live coverage of the maiden flight of the launch of the Long March 7 Y1 launch vehicle. Today, it is also improved, and you know that the launch vehicle is more reliable than before. And you know that the Long March 7 launch vehicle is a 2.5 stage launch vehicle with a core stage diameter 3.35 meters and 4 boosters. You may notice it's very beautiful. And Long March 7 series has the most slim boosters comparing with other launch vehicles of China. So as you already seen on the launch pad, you know that the rotary platform has already opened. But you may notice, look on this screen, still there are some arms in brown connected to the launch vehicle, because you know that at this moment we still have the electricity connection and the signal connection to the launch vehicle. And you may notice that when to go to launch, the white forks in the stages of the launch vehicle will disappear, which means that we do not need to add new propellants to the launch vehicle.
Right now, actually, from the pictures, live signals we just saw, right now Mission Control has just initiated the automated countdown sequence already, in this final stretch.
Yes.
All critical systems like propulsion, and we can see the arms that you mentioned are beginning to move, and telemetry and communications, guidance, etc. are undergoing last-second verification. This is actually a full autonomous launch, isn't it?
Yes. You may notice that, as you mentioned, the arms in brown color has some already separated from the launch vehicle. The arms have the
1 minute.
cables. Okay, T-minus 1 minute.
T-minus, yes, and with the backup system standing by already. And as well, our reporter just said the weather conditions today are optimal, very good for launch, and clear skies, low wind, good visibility, 40 seconds.
Although in this season, the Hainan province is very hot and very wet. So this is not very friendly, but at least the weather is clear.
30 seconds, gradually approaching to the final moment of launch.
So the 6 engines on the boosters and the core stage will ignite simultaneously.
Okay. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Lift off. And we can see that the Long March 7 Y10 rocket roars to life, piercing through the morning sky in a short moment. And the orange, different from the white plume just now, it is now the orange plume at its base as the engines generate nearly 707 tons of thrust, leaving lifting the 30-ton Tianzhou-9 on its journey to low Earth orbit.
So after liftoff, the first critical step will be the pitch over, which means that the direction of the flight will change from a vertical one to the eastward. And you know that the Tianzhou space station is orbiting the Earth at the altitude of about 400 kilometers with the inclination about 41 degrees. So it must go to the right direction.
And as the rocket climbs, it actually undergoes several critical steps. The four-side booster separate like petals falling away.
Yes, at about 170 seconds after liftoff.
Each has completed its job of giving the rocket, that is, when they separate and the initial push through Earth's atmosphere. It's like a firing bird from that angle.
Quite beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Yeah. So this is infrared video image taken from the ground stations. So all the optical and the radars monitor the flight.
And moments later, the payload fairing will split open.
We still need to wait. So this is a video come from the camera mounted on the fuselage of the rocket, looking backwards. We can still see the four booster, two of the four boosters.
So the four boosters are still there.
Yeah, so it will be separated at about 173 seconds
after the launch.
Liftoff. Yeah.
After the launch, and I think it's nearly the time to separate those four boosters.
So that's the separation of the four boosters will be a very critical step. We heard the voice from the ground station that the tracking from the optical and radars are very normal.
So it goes on very smoothly.
Exactly. So the separation will be soon. We can see the flames of the. You can see the flame of the core stage and the four boosters. The core stage have two engines, which similar to the rocket engines used on the boosters.
Oh, this angle is very beautiful. So what's the speed at the moment?
It's already in a supersonic flow. Okay, the separation is perfect.
The four boosters are away now.
So then will be the separation of the first stage. Okay, the first stage also separated. Now you can see two of the four engines on the second stage. This engine is called YF-115 rocket engine. Each have a thrust of about 18 metric tons in vacuum condition. And it is very interesting. You can see two of the engines. One is fixed, and the other one can rotate in different directions to control the attitude of the rocket. Because you know that every time we have disturbance from outside, we need to stabilize the fuselage of the rocket and also change its direction to the right one. So we need the adjustment of the direction of the thrust. So with the rotation of the nozzles of the rocket engines, we can conduct this.
So it's the captain of the ship to decide the direction.
We don't have a captain because
right,
it's
unmanned. So it's
as you mentioned, it is autonomous one. So it's based on its onboard computer. And it is very interesting that, as I mentioned, we have four engines on the second stage. Two are fixed, and the other two can rotate. And the next step will be the separation of the payload fairings. Now, on the left of the screen, we can see the video inside the payload fairing. We can see some of the our Tianzhou-9 cargo spacecraft. And we will see the separation of the payload fairing soon.
So the fairing splits will fall away in two halves.
Exactly. So when the altitude is very high and the atmosphere density is low enough, so it will not do harm to the Tianzhou spacecraft. So at that moment, to save energy, we will not need the payload fairing. We will separate it.
So when it reaches at the current stage, has the ship reached the upper atmosphere already?
I believe at this moment it's already in outer space.
So we
will is above the common line. So we will separate the payload fairing soon.
So this is Tianzhou-9's first official exposure to the space?
After the separation of the payload fairing.
The payload fairing, right.
So the wind will not threaten the safety of our
The
Tianzhou
protective
spacecraft.
shell
Yeah.
are no longer needed.
And you may notice you can already see the background, the curve of the Earth's horizon.
And the
Very
astronauts
beautiful.
in Tiangong actually are watching the launching process as well.
Yes.
Why are they? What's the? What's this? Why are they watching that? What does it mean to them?
Because it's important for them.
I mean, apart from waiting for the payloads, of course, why are they watching
so
the
after
whole
several
process?
hours, the Tianzhou will reach the station and they will conduct a docking. So they will monitor that. And I believe that this signal is come from the CMG.
Right. It is.
Yes. It is very interesting. Several years before, your colleagues in the studio say hello to our Tiangong
Yes.
to astronauts. Mr. Jing Haipeng replied to her. Very, very interesting.
It seems as it's no longer a myth to communicate with space or with the astronauts
But
in
it is
space.
a one-way communication
One-way
because they cannot hurt your anchors. So, as I mentioned, the payload fairing will be separated soon. The last voice we heard is from the ground of the tracking. You may notice that the shape of the flame is quite different from the first stage because it's already in a vacuum condition. So the flame, the shape is different from those in the atmosphere.
Everything's going on
The ground staff told
very
that the telemetry
smoothly.
comes
So
normal.
far, so good.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the astronauts are really waiting for the delivery boy.
And their fresh food.
Fresh food,
Especially
and
the fruit.
training machines,
Yeah.
and all the experiment items.
Yeah. You know, as a
will
and
make
a
them
native
very
of
busy.
Inner Mongolia, you know that Mr. Wang Jie is the first taikonaut from Inner Mongolia. So I believe that Tianzhou-9 will bring some delicious food with, you know, not good for Inner Mongolia people.
They must miss the food on Earth. I
Yeah.
bet that.
Yes, especially the fresh vegetables and fresh fruit, they will be their favorite.
And about the food they are eating at Tiangong, are there any, you know, the nutrition are enough, but what about the flavor?
You know, that's every time we have different crew, and every time the food is prepared dedicated for the certain astronauts. For instance, Jing Haipeng, our previous commander, he's from Shanxi province, and they bring some many vinegar for him. And also, you know that I believe this time we will have some Inner Mongolia food for Mr. Wang Jie.
Such as, what's
Maybe shawmai, maybe some noodles.
Mongolian shawmai is huge. I don't think they will send huge shawmais.
And the lamb in Mongolia is very perfect.
Lamb, of course, but won't be fresh lamb.
Yeah.
That's a pity.
Still, you can see that you know that on the Wenchang spacecraft launch site, it's still in dark, but with the spacecraft going eastward, you can now see the bright horizon of the Earth.
Right.
Very beautiful.
And we can see some Chinese characters on the screen. Second stage engine. So when will the core stage shut down and separate?
Well, it has two steps. First, as I mentioned, the fixed engines has already shut down.
Right.
And you may notice that the other one is still working with the one with servo units which can rotate. And it will precisely adjust the direction and also make sure that the orbital parameters is accurate enough. And then it will shut down.
No flames now.
Great. You can see the nozzles of the Tianzhou spacecraft. And the next critical step will be the unfolding of the solar panels of our Tianzhou-9.
So all these steps are fully pre-programmed and monitored.
Yes.
By the China Space Tracking Network, of course, including
mainly controlled by the onboard computer of either our Long March 7 and our Tianzhou-9 spacecraft.
It's like a wanderer.
So this is a video still come from the camera mounted on the second core stage of our Tianzhou spacecraft, looking to the front.
And where will the core stage stage end?
That's the second stage is in the same orbit of our Tianzhou spacecraft, so it will deorbit several days after this launch.
Okay.
You may notice that every time the China Manned Space Agency will announce the orbital parameters of the second stage, because you know that it will avoid any hazards to our ground properties.
Okay. And what will happen to Tianzhou-9 after it completes its mission?
Tianzhou-9 will conduct autonomous rendezvous and some orbital maneuvers to chasing up our Tiangong space station and dock to the rear docking port of our Tiangong spacecraft. You may notice that these moments, at this moment, Wenchang and Beijing is still in darkness, but our Tianzhou has already been in the sunshine area. You may see it's very bright now.
Right.
So you can see the background is the Earth.
And the Yuanwang class tracking ships out at sea are still monitoring it.
Exactly.
So
at this moment, our Yuanwang space tracking ship is in the Pacific Ocean, and we will monitor the critical step. Okay, the solar panels is unfolded according to the 3D animation. Although you know that this is a 3D animation, but it represents the real status of the spacecraft. So the Tianzhou-9 has 2 solar wings, each have 3 solar panels.
Okay.
So next, the ground staff will verify and calculate the final orbital parameters. Only when the orbital parameters is accurate enough can we announce it is a successful launch. Because we need it to be accurate enough to chase up the Tianzhou.
How accurate? What kind of minor mistake can it tolerate?
Well, you know that we have 6 orbital parameters, the semi-major axis, the eccentricity, and also other 4 parameters. Each one has a range. We must be in this range. We can call it is accurate enough.
200 kilometers away from the Earth.
So the perigee is 200 kilometers, and the apogee is about 350 kilometers, and the inclination is 41.4 degrees. So it's very accurate one.
So are we going to see the second stage engine burning again?
No, you know that the 4 engines has already been shut down, and it will be deorbited several days after this launch.
Okay.
But the Tianzhou will conduct several orbital maneuvers to adjust the difference between the orbit of Tiangong space station and then the final approach to the rear docking port of Tiangong space station.
And what speed do you think does Tianzhou-9 have to have in order to orbit the Earth in a stable condition?
Well, you know that the Long March 7 has already done most of the tasks. It's in orbit with the same orbital plane as I mentioned, comparing with the Tiangong space station. But you may notice that the apogee or the highest altitude is 350 kilometers. It's lower than the Tiangong space station. This means that it is orbiting Earth faster than our Tiangong space station. So that is the reason it can chase up with the Tiangong space station and then dock together.
Now,
officials, experts, and comrades. Based on the flight data of the Long March 7 carrier rocket and monitoring report from Beijing Command and Control Center, The Tianzhou-9 cargo ship has precisely entered its designated orbit as planned. The solar panels have unfolded and are functioning well. I now declare the launch mission a full success. Thank you.
Well, the launch of Tianzhou-9 is officially a success, according to the officials of the administration, Space Launching Administration. And China's cargo spacecraft Tianzhou-9 has been successfully launched to the orbiting Tiangong space station. The Long March 7 Y-10 rocket carrying the spacecraft blasted off at 5:35 a.m. Beijing time on Tuesday from the Wenchang spacecraft launch site in southern China's Hainan province. And in about 3 hours, the Tianzhou-9 cargo craft is expected to dock at the rear port of the space station's core module Tianhe. And the Tianzhou-9's journey to the China space station will take around 3 hours, as we just mentioned, and the designer explains how the rendezvous and docking method, which is now the go-to for China's cargo spacecraft, was developed and perfected.
The 3-hour rapid rendezvous and docking mode was first utilized on Tianzhou-7 and further validated during the Tianzhou-8 mission. Starting with Tianzhou-9, this mode has been implemented as the standard rendezvous and docking procedure for cargo spacecraft. We carefully analyzed the mission and orbit conditions to identify risks, making the mode more reliable, adaptable, and versatile. This has paved the way to set it as a standard rendezvous and docking procedure for Tianzhou cargo spacecraft.
And now for more on the successful launch, let's talk again to Mr. Yang. Now, before we talk more about Tianzhou, I'm still curious about the Long March 7 rocket that carried Tianzhou-9 into the space. This mission saw the integrated testing cycle shortened, actually from 27 to 25 days. How significant is that shortened time?
Oh, that's very important. You know that the point is, although the Wenchang spacecraft launch site has a very ideal position, it has a very low latitude and is close to the seashore, which is convenient for organizing a launch. But another fact is that the weather is really not very good. So there are, especially in this season in July, there will frequently you can see the storms and also even typhoon. So these factors will influence the launch. And if we can shorten the whole procedure, especially the testing procedure, which can make it more feasible and flexible to organize the launch activity itself. This is really important for us. In the years before, we used the very toxic and corrosive propellants, but that's in room temperature, very inconvenient to use. But that, as we mentioned during the launch, we use the liquid oxygen and kerosene as a propellant for the Long March 7 spacecraft. They are in very low temperature, very difficult to be stored. So if we can shorten the whole procedure, it will be more confident for us to ensure the success of the whole procedure, because every uncertainty we can keep in a very small range, and the influence of these uncertainties will not influence our launch itself.
Right, and Tianzhou-9, actually, about the docking. Docking is a very, very significant work for Tianzhou-9, especially to the astronauts, to the taikonauts in the Tiangong station. While Tianzhou-5 demonstrated a record 2-hour dock, that is the fastest.
Yes, the world record.
Right, but the newer mission used 6.5 hours. Why slower this time?
Well, that's we can recognize the 2-hour world records is a technology demonstration. We have this ability, but every time we determine the interval between the launch and the docking according to the real need. For the astronauts, the 6.5 hours is already convenient for them. Like when you drive from your home to your office, if 6.5 hours is still acceptable, although in a very narrow volume. But for the Tianzhou, because course, is a manned spacecraft. So although you know that shortened this interval brings some risk, but you know that for a manned one it's acceptable. So 2 or 3 hours is already good enough. And also, as we already discussed before, it's especially useful for our biological samples and these kind of experiments.
A very important job for Tianzhou-9 is to deliver goods, to deliver payloads. But what decides is rhythm? I mean, the delivery rhythm. How long will a Tianzhou cargo ship be sent to Tiangong?
As we've already mentioned, the interval between the launch and the docking will be 2 to 3 hours. But you know that the improvement of the Tianzhou is that only several hours before the launch, we can still add some newest goods to our Tianzhou spacecraft, which requires a high requirement to the payload fairing. We can still open the payload fairing and bring some new goods to the Tianzhou spacecraft. So this is very, very necessary for the live animals and other samples which will need a very shortened period. Moreover, you know that today we have something like a refrigerator in our inside the cargo bay, which also means that in today we can bring something in a cold temperature, in good conditions, to bring these goods to our Tiangong space station. So this is also necessary for our future experiments.
Very quickly, Mr. Yang, because I'm really curious what kind of role Tianzhou series cargo ship will play in the future deep space logistics.
Well, today's Tianzhou is dedicated for the resupply to our Tiangong space station. But for a few manned missions to the moon and even for our lunar base in the future, we need to design new ones because the technical requirements is different.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Yang Yuguang. Thank you for both your explanation and analysis. Thank you.
You're welcome,
very much.
Dongning.
And that's all for our special coverage on the launch of Tianzhou-9, delivering payloads to the Taikonauts at Tiangong Station. And we'll monitor the whole process, the docking process, later in the day. Thank you for watching. I'm Dongning. Bye for now.